What is up, our Forge Master brethren? Welcome to Forge Master Metal Reviews, the channel where you can get the most out of your metal releases, musicians and fans alike. Benfo and Brandon here. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are here today to discuss some of our favorite albums that we missed in our segments on April. In this segment, we check out some of the albums that our fans suggested and round up the best ones that we missed. One quick thing, we are running a giveaway for the vinyl of Cannibal Corpse's Violence Unimagined. Check out the pinned comment below for a chance to enter and a chance to win.
And if you like videos like these, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We also have shirts available under the Forge Master name. Grab yourself a shirt today, support underground art and metal, and forge your future. The link is in the description. A return to the Nightside Eclipse, blackened party thrash for the summer, and metallic hardcore for days. Let's cover more bloody fantastic metal albums from April.
Ninkharsag, the Dread March of Solemn Gods, released April 30th on Vendetta Records. You ever have somebody copy your homework? We're starting to see a little bit of a renaissance of the second wave of black metal and the movements associated with that. Some bands are totally nailing a part of that particular subgenre, and that is the riffs. Ninkharsag have completely nailed the aesthetic and the riff/atmosphere worship of bands like Dissection and Emperor, even down to the color palette of the album cover of Dread March of Solemn Gods. Personally, from a marketing standpoint, I think the decision to make the album art so similar to In the Nightside Eclipse and Storm of the Lights band was very smart. Fans of the second wave of black metal know exactly what they're getting into with this record, and god damn it delivers. This album is nothing but unholy darkness and riffs delivered in ice-cold fashion by the stripped-down and thinner-sounding mix created by Chris Fielding of Full Studios. I could see some people being unhappy with the mix on this album, but for the second wave of black metal sound, the production completely nails the atmosphere and aesthetic. It was deliberate. They're unfortunately sold out of a lot of their merch on their Bandcamp, but there's still some CDs and other physical media available. Definitely jump on this if you're looking for some frostbitten, cold, and unholy riffs. 4 out of 5, Dread Horseman.
Traditional Doomsters Wheel launched their third full-length record, Preserved in Time, on Cruz del Sur Music this year, and it's a must-listen for all you traditional doom metal fans. Culturally, the longevity of metal music in itself, it's pretty astounding, and looking deeper at the trends within the metal music culture is a fascinating thing, something I'm really into. So what makes Wheel culturally relevant? What makes people want to listen to music that sounds like it was recorded 40 years ago? The answer to that is far too complicated to get into in this video in itself, but simply put, things are shifting. Consumers are changing the way that they listen to music, and musicians are eager to hear and create the music that they grew up on. So you have this weird cultural movement happening where the technology of media consumption is moving forward while the mindset of the artist is kind of in the past in some instances. It's a very cool clash of technology, consumerism, and the creative process. As far as Wheel goes, they've put out a really nice record. I'm not gonna say it's gonna change the doom landscape, but if you're a big fan of this, I think you should check it out. If I remember this band, I would have maybe brought up the suggestion to, hey, let's change up the vocal patterns a bit. They do get really repetitive. But unfortunately, this is kind of par for the course for this genre, so I don't think anyone's gonna say anything. But that's what's gonna make you stand out as a doom metal band. Instead of having copy and paste verses or vocal melodies, make that small shift on that second verse. You know who does this really well? Pallbearer, and they do it intentionally, and that's what makes them stand out. Overall, Preserved in Time, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 cryogenically frozen mistresses. Check out Wheel if you haven't already.
We turn my back, slugs in my face, forever racing at a catastrophic pace.
Bewitcher, Cursed Be Thy Kingdom, released April 16th on Century Media Records. It's tough for me to quantify what Bewitcher is genre-wise to me. The closest black metal influenced group similar to them, I would say, would be Capra, but Bewitcher have elements of hair metal and glam in their sound instead of upbeat punk vibes like Capra. Don't let that experimentation deter you. Bewitcher have been picked up by Century Media and their sound is still rooted in unholy riffs and filth. Fans of the previous records might be a bit apprehensive with Bewitcher's newer experimentations on Cursed Be Thy Kingdom, but this album is still visceral, violent, and completely out for blood, rooted in its riffs for Satan sound. There's elements of classic thrash too all over this record, and the production fits that dirty and dingy sound that you would want in a blackened thrash metal record, leaning more towards a classic rock and kind of metal sound. It took me a bit to decide whether or not I love the new direction above their previous release, Under the Witching Cross. I think after a few listens, I actually love the new direction, and I'm excited to see what they do moving forward with Century Media. They've got a ton of merch bundles on their indie merch store. T-shirts, LPs, tapes, hoodies, flags. Lay down your souls, folks, for Bewitcher. Pick up this record if you want some riffs for Satan. 4 out of 5 Sky Reapers.
Soothsayer's Echoes of Earth is the debut full-length from this Irish doom metal band. Released April 1st on Transcending Obscurity Records, Soothsayer has set out to show the world that doom metal can still be unique and experimental. If you're in a band that pulls multiple influences from a variety of genres or other groups, it becomes a real balancing act to determine what section is gonna go where. You've got that wide open doom section or that tension building post-rock section. Which one do you go with? Well, the answer to that question is not a matter of democracy. You ask the song, not the people. What is best for the music, not for your freaking egos? I believe Soothsayer has a very strong line of communication with their musical deities. Despite the unusual compositional makeups of some of their passages, Soothsayer's music very often serves the song, not the egos. One area where I wish they did get a little more arrogant, however, was in the production of this record. It's not very good, which makes it a real challenge to listen to. The drums are very thin, and the guitar tone is rough. As a guitarist myself, I would not have gone with this decision with these guitars. This is a band that I hope to hear more from in the future. Hopefully they kind of tighten up things with their production, but I think that their composition is really unique and cool in this genre. Overall, Echoes of Earth is an interesting debut. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 Hooded Lurkers.
Crypts of Despair, All Light Swallowed, released April 23rd on Transcending Obscurity Records. I've said it so many times on this channel, and that's Transcending Obscurity Records can do no wrong when it comes to their metal roster. They find the filthiest and heaviest bands, ranging from doom to death metal, and Crypts of Despair, one of the most exciting bands on their roster to release something this year. Hailing from Lithuania, death metal band Crypts of Despair have released one of the most ungodly and filthy records devoid of all hope. All Light Swallowed is an old school death metal album, but the production is a little bit more on the modern side, favoring the dirtier side of the atmosphere of the old school subgenre. This album is perfectly dark, wonderfully bleak, and the album artwork by Nestor Avalos perfectly captures the atmosphere within this record. All Light Swallowed is full of breakneck riffs, sadistic and catchy melodies, and gloomy vibes rooted in the slower parts and doomier parts of the record. The vocals on this album are harrowing, and they completely obliterate the listener with their dual vocal approach of guttural lows and anguish-filled highs. For some reason, I've really been enjoying death metal a lot lately. That's not really my thing. And Transcending Obscurity are filling my playlist with some of the best music in the genre. Crypts of Despair has some gorgeous merch for you to pick up and collect in the form of vinyls and digipacks. You absolutely want to own this vinyl if you're a death metal collector. Bone chilling and crushing. You have to get on this record if you love old school death. 4.5 out of 5 Mounds of Death.
Wolfchant's Omegia Bestia is a unique folk direction. It's a mix of black, melodic death, and power metal. When you're choosing a subgenre like Wolfchant has, you can really focus in your influences, both musically and culturally. And I think it's cool when bands sing in their native tongue, as Wolfchant does. They sing in German. It's even more interesting when this native tongue isn't really widely heard anymore. Here's looking at you, The Who. Expect that focus to change and morph as you and the world around you change. Bands like Death, Metallica, and Opeth have all shifted their image, musical direction, or artistic themes to to reflect their new perspectives in life. Sure, there are some artists out there that remain rock steady in their wheelhouse, but it's practically impossible to maintain that sort of archetypical role in the extreme music genre, never mind in the fast-moving I want it all and I want it now culture that we live in. Overall, Wolfchant has delivered a very cool album with Omegia, Bestia. They have a unique direction that blends a wide variety of extreme metal genres, and I think they do a nice job representing a culture that tells a unique story. This record gets 3.5 out of 5 raging lycanthropes.
Capra in Transmission, released on April 23rd on Metal Blade Records / Blacklight Media. Louisiana-based metallic hardcore band Capra are the best new band that unfortunately no one is talking about nearly enough. If you dug the sounds of Converge, Dillinger Escape Plan, and Code Orange, you'll be right at home with this absolutely gargantuan and massively heavy record. The intensity of this album is something to behold. It's as if you're constantly being pursued by a maniacal captor. The performances on this record are frenzied, relentlessly heavy, and very deliberate in their delivery to make you feel claustrophobic and suffocated. The production on this album is fantastic. The album feels like a love letter to old school early 2000s hardcore, and it sounds like you're gonna die if you're in person witnessing this band just completely melt your face off. The album is also simple in its approach, but there's a shitload of surprises. One of my favorite parts of the album is the band's ability to hit intense moments of blast beat drums contrasted with slower, massive wall of guitars and aggressive hardcore vocals labored with intense emotional desperation. This album is 100% something that's meant to be heard live, but don't let that stop you from checking this record out. Capra are hugely active on their social media accounts, giving their fans first glimpses and opportunities to connect with those who love this kind of genre. Fantastic band. Share this album around and let's get these guys to explode. 4.5 out of 5 Capra Demons. Yes, that is a Dark Souls reference. I'm a nerd, don't care. Get on this album now, you won't regret it.
And how about you guys? What did you miss out on in April? Let us know in the comments down below. Hit us up on Instagram or Facebook.
Remember to enter our vinyl giveaway for Cannibal Corpse. It's in the pinned comment below. As always, go with the Gods Forge mates. Get after those goals and paint the sky with blood. I'll see you guys next time.